Hi there, Pegasus here. For a while now, people have been asking about my Fortnite settings, my aim settings, my shortcuts, and how I use my mouse as well in terms of buttons on my mouse. So this video is for you that have been asking for that. If you don't know me, I have been playing Fortnite for a little more than a year now, since Chapter 4 Season 2. I'm one of the highly rated players in the leaderboards worldwide, right, for playing solo versus duos, solo versus squads, and such. So check out the video. Okay, so let's talk about ADSing, toggling, and mental activation and hurdling, right? Which are the features that you have few different buttons in there for Fortnite that you can activate. So let me show you here. Let me get this thing first. So, like, this is mantling, right? You're just jumping and getting into something. Usually you would have to press jump to do this. I just use pressing forward because I think it's easier. And for ADSing, this is ADSing. It stands for aiming down sights, right? So in my case, I just toggle. I prefer toggling. It's much easier than, in my opinion, than having to hold the button, right? So that's what those buttons are for, right? And then you have hurdling, right? Which is like this, So if you're pressing forward, it pushes through, without you having to press jump again, I think it's easier. I think it's more intuitive, than any other setting. But some people prefer the other things, and that's fine, right? Those are my preferences, my personal preferences. That's why I suggest them. I feel like they're much more intuitive, easy than pressing jump consistently, Also, just requires one button as well. Yeah. Now let me get this medallion. Let's talk about aim settings, or more like mouse sensitivity settings, I guess. So those are mine. You can see there 4.5 and 6.9, right? That's X and Y sensitivity. You learned this in mathematics in school, right? You have like your X-axis, right? So this is your X-axis, right? And this is your Y-axis, right? So the higher the sensitivity, the easier, faster your mouse goes up and down, right? Let me make a little change there so you can see it. So if I make this, for example, around 20%, which is, I think it comes out of Epic Store, like that. You see, like, I barely move my mouse. I'm not sure if you can see that, but like, I barely move my mouse already goes like that, which also helps when you're moving diagonally, right? But that's the thing, it becomes a little too fast when you're doing movements. So you will like kind of go a little too fast over pixels, and when you have to make certain movements, it kind of becomes hard, right, for you to take control over that. So I personally like to use smaller. You see, like, how I'm even like moving my mouse around the map and looking around makes it a little out of control for me. So that's kind of why I have my settings like that, right? So check your keyboard settings, right? Like mine, I don't use the standard keyboard buttons, so I'm gonna show you my buttons here for a second. My buttons for combat, you see, like, my harvesting tool is like pickaxe. My pickaxe is like on mouse up and mouse down, right? And my weapon slots are 2, 3, 4 and XC, right? I don't use like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which I think are the standard buttons for Fortnite. And the reason for that, right, I can show you, of course, clearly. It's much easier, right, for you to move like, your fingers down, to X and C, than I think to move like all your hand up, like you would have to move all your hand up there, So for me, it's a little awkward, to kind of move to those. Some people prefer that, and it's fine, I think I have really big hands because I'm 6'1", so I have like big fingers, right? And I find that uncomfortable. So I think a person with like a smaller hand would find it even worse, right? And also kind of slow, right? And if you you know, it's a game of like speed many times, right? You don't want to like spend like a quarter of a second or like a fraction of a second longer if you can do that faster. Personally, that's how I think, right? And also the matter of comfortability and thinking that many times you're going to be playing for hours and how you move your hands might like, you know, extenuate like how your wrists feel after a long gaming session, right? So comfort is essential and speed is essential, right? If you want to get better. So but that's why I use those settings. I recommend those. I don't do weapon. If you like when I do this here, if you look at the bottom there, it changes to my pickaxe, but nothing else happens, right? So if I do again, you know, it's just this, right? I don't have nothing at the top right now because it used to be my augment shortcut from chapter 4, but we don't have augments in chapter 5. I didn't put anything else in there. At most, what I would do is like maybe if I'm gonna use the mouse wheel, would be more like a 1-0 type of situation, you know, kind of like I want one thing on the top and one thing on the bottom instead of like rotating for all weapons. To cycle through weapons, I use these buttons on the side sometimes, you know. You see like how my buttons swap there. I feel like that's better, you know. And I usually swap just 1 or 2 because I prefer to do like that and like swap for all of them, right? Because X and C are on this corner, which I can do fast, you know. And then if I need to do the top, kinda, you know, rotating, cycle for like 1 or 2 weapons is not that slow, you know. It's okay. So you see, like I feel like that's a bit better than having to cycle through mouse because it's not through mouse wheel, because the mouse wheel is not that reliable, in my opinion. I never had the mouse wheel felt like so good to cycle weapons through, you know, and many times in fights I was like, I have to swap to my shockwave now or to my burst, and then I rotate 1 more and then I lose the fight because I couldn't like, you know, do the thing fast enough, you know. So having a setting that makes you achieve as fast as possible what you want to do, you know, as fast as you think it, to me is kind of like the best way to play games like Fortnite, right? It's never like I don't have to overthink that. Chewbacca, can you give me healing? Oh no, GG's! Anyways, hope that helps.